Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing my February TBR with a TBR jar. TBR videos just in general are like my favorite to watch and definitely some of my favorite to film. It's just so fun to pick it out. I didn't do a TBR for January at all. I just kind of read intuitively. I filmed one video just like kind of finishing up the books that I had already started and some series I was in the middle of, so I kind of just focused on those and I didn't really do a TBR per se, but I'm really excited to do one for February. My goals for my February reads, as always, I want to try to get 10 books every single month this year to hit my reading goal of 125, and I also want to work on dwindling down my TBR, my physical TBR. So my physical TBR has quite a lot of fantasy books on it, and so while we're still in winter, I definitely want to focus on that, but then also this February, so I do want maybe like 1 or 2 romances in there. But yeah, definitely focusing on fantasy books if I can, because I know that once the summertime hits, I don't know why it's so hard for me to read fantasy, even though I love it so much, but it just doesn't feel quite the same as when it's like cold out and it gets dark early and you just kind of get into a fantasy book. So that's sort of what I'm hoping, and I'm going to be using the same TBR jar that I've been using for a while. So far, every time I've filmed my TBR videos, I separate the prompts that I've already gotten and just keep them aside, and then once we're kind of all the way through these prompts, then I will reset and maybe add some new ones as well. So the only thing I want to mention before starting is I no longer have my TBR card. I've started rebinding books, which I think in the shot you can see a few down here, but anyway, so I've been using my TBR card for all of my bookbinding supplies and my Cricut stuff and things like that. So I have some books I will keep like my actual TBR, my monthly TBR on there, but apart from that, my actual TBR books are all on the bookshelves behind me, also because I just have too many books from the TBR to fit onto my cart. Like, they don't all fit, so at that point I was like, well, I may as well just keep them on the bookshelves. Once I've hit my goal of the year is to dwindle down my TBR down to at least less than 50 books, and so once that's done, then I will try to move them onto the TBR cart. Maybe I'll change my mind, maybe I'll miss my TBR cart, and you'll see me in the next TBR video with my TBR cart once again. But for the moment, my TBR is still all on the bookshelf behind me, so I'll be going to the bookshelves to fulfill my prompt. Okay, so let's start picking out our prompts from the TBR jar, and we're gonna do 10 today. So prompt number 1, a non-fiction. That's such an interesting first prompt to get. Okay, a non-fiction. Okay, I came up with 2 options for my non-fictions. Both of these I've actually started already. It's kind of hard. Okay, so my first choice is Atomic Habits. This is a reread for me. I read this, I don't know when I read this for the first time, but I kind of wanted to read this every year. I'm only on chapter 2, like page 30, so this is definitely a good option. I wanted to finish this in January, but with the Onyx Storm release and like my other reads, it just kind of went to the back burner, but I really do love this book and I think it's really nice. It's a good one to read like yearly. But also at the same time when I was reading it, I was kind of like, I kind of remember all of this, but I was just in chapter 1, so honestly maybe I should just give it another go. And then the second option is Unwinding Anxiety. This is a really good book. I'm honestly almost all the way through it. I'm about 200 pages in, and there's 264, so only 64 pages left. I think honestly, because they're started, I'm just gonna put them both on my TBR, which is kind of silly, but I feel like together they make one unread book, and because I don't have any other options for my physical TBR nonfiction that I'm remotely interested in right now, I'm going to pick up these 2 and count them as one book because I'm almost done Unwinding Anxiety and I've just started already Atomic Habits. So these are gonna be our first book. This is the nonfiction. This was a harder decision than I thought it was gonna be, but yeah, we're gonna have 11 books this month. Okay, so prompt number 2, book with yellow on the cover. A book with yellow on the cover. Okay, I think we can definitely find a fantasy this time with that. Okay, we also have, I think I remember, one new release in February, which is Rebel Witch. Does Rebel Witch have yellow on the cover? I think the key is like golden, but it's more like a red cover, so I think we're gonna stick with books that are actually yellow, but I will keep Rebel Witch in mind because I really want to read The Heartless Hunter and The Rebel Witch this month, so hopefully I can get prompts for both of them. So for books with yellow on the cover, honorable mention would be Twisted Games, because it's the second book in a Twisted series, which I read the first one this month. So just to continue on the series, this cover is yellow, but like I said, I really do want to focus on the fantasy, so I think I'm going to skip on this one. Next up, I have Trial of the Sun Queen. I don't know where or when I heard about this book, but it's just a fantasy series. There's 4 books, I believe. It seems to be like another contest fantasy. I believe it's a romantasy, so I'll be kind of going in blind, but this one has quite a bit of yellow on the cover. The next option is Sanctuary of the Shadow. I started this a really long time ago. It was kind of giving Caraval vibes and what I would assume to be, what was it? The Night of the Circus or something like that. Both, so I mean they're just fantasies set in a circus setting. I made it 3 chapters in, page 31. It was good and it kind of just threw you in. It was pretty fast paced. I just never picked it up because I think I was reading so many other books at the same time. Yeah, I don't know why. There was a period last year where I was just reading like little bits of every single book, and this was one of them, so I just ended up finishing other books instead of this one, but I really did enjoy it and I do want to pick it up again. And then the last option that I looked at was This Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi. This I also don't really know much about, but I really loved the Shatter Me series by this author, so I wanted to pick up her other books, which is, there's like a This Woven Kingdom is a trilogy. So those are my 3 options. It's kind of difficult because these 2 would be starting a series and this one is just a standalone. So in that regard, this one is pretty tempting. Okay, I think I'm gonna do Sanctuary of the Shadow, mainly because I don't want to start any more series. I really want to kind of get a few off of my plate before I start any more. I'm in the middle of 23 series, 42 that like including the ones I haven't started, but I am in the middle and have started 24 series. So I definitely want to dwindle that down a little bit before I start any new ones. Also, this is my reading journal and I have sort of all that information in here, which is why I keep on referring to it. But yeah, so our second prompt will be Sanctuary of the Shadow by Aurora Asher, which I'm pretty sure is also a Canadian author. Yeah, she's from Montreal, which I don't know, that's just so fun to read Canadian author. So moving on to our third prompt, a book you've been avoiding. Oh my god, that's such a hard prompt. A book you've been avoiding. I have a few. I wouldn't really say I've been avoiding any books that much. These are definitely the closest to the category where I've had them on my shelf for a long time, I haven't read them. I was really excited to read them when I got them and then just kind of never did. So I guess I've been avoiding them. And there's different reasons for each of these. So the first one, books I've been avoiding, is Crescent City, The House of Earth and Blood, the first book in this series by Sarah J Maas. I loved ACOTAR. I am partway through Throne of Glass, and I have had this book since not the Christmas that just passed, but the Christmas before then. So a year and a bit I've had this on my shelf. I read the first like maybe 50 pages or something up until the end of chapter 5, and yeah, okay, this is written on the back. So I guess it's not really a spoiler. It's not at all a spoiler. There's 3 paragraphs on the back and it's set in the first, but I went in blind. And for those who have read this, so I started it and you're introduced to just a huge cast of characters and they're all so sweet and you just love their dynamic and you're falling in love with it and you're really getting into it and just love it. And then a brutal murder happens, which I didn't see coming at all. And I was just kind of heartbroken and I just put it away and I never looked back, and I was just like, you know what, that just kind of makes me sad. Anyways, so this is definitely an option. This is definitely a book that I've been avoiding after having kind of my heart broken after 70 pages. Sarah J Maas did a really good job of making you feel for these characters, and I think it's important because I'm sure it drives the whole story and the whole plot sort of goes from there, and the main character's motivation is obviously strung from there and everything, and yeah, that's all written on the blurb in the back. But it was really hard. I didn't read the blurb on the back when I started it, so I was not expecting that at all, and yeah, it was kind of devastating. So this is definitely, I would say, a book that I've been avoiding. Next up, I have Queen of Shadows. I can really say this is a book that I've been avoiding, but I am 55 pages into it and it's really good. Like, I remember reading the end of Heir of Fire and it was so good. I think that was in a video of mine. Yeah, I absolutely loved it, but I don't know, I just kind of got sidetracked and was taking a break, but I really want to finish the series this year. I want to do that sort of before March because after that I'm not reading as much fantasy and I don't really want to be reading Kingdom of Ash in like the middle of summer. So this is definitely a strong contender, and I wouldn't really say I've been avoiding it, but yeah, I mean, the books are starting to get really big, and then there's the tandem read right after, and I guess I would say I have been avoiding this. So we have 2 Sarah J Maas books on this list, which is crazy because yes, I've been avoiding them, but I'm sure they're going to be amazing. The last book I have is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I read Powerless, absolutely loved it, and then kind of got scared after the reviews. People really didn't like this. I saw so many people give this like a 2 stars. Yeah, that's kind of really discouraging. So I would definitely say that I've been avoiding this one as well, even though I absolutely loved Powerless. So those are our 3 options. We have 2 Sarah J Maas's and Reckless, and we have 2 that continue a series and 1 that starts a series. But I also want to read Reckless before the new Fearless book comes out, because that's going to be a whole conversation and I want to be part of it. That comes out in April. Okay, so I think I'm going to put Reckless off. I think it ends also on a cliffhanger, so I might want to read Reckless right before Fearless comes out so I can just jump into the next one. So I'm going to put this one aside for now. We're going to be between Queen of Shadows and House of Earth and Blood, and I think I'm going to pick Queen of Shadows just because, first of all, it's continuing series, and second of all, like I said, I want to finish this series for the end of winter. Air of Fire was amazing, so I'm sure once I get an actual dent into this one and we kind of get the plot of this particular book, I'm sure it's gonna be really good and it's gonna fly by. So I'm really excited. Queen of Shadows is going to be our next pick. Okay, so our fourth prompt, a fake dating trope. I'm so bad because I actually don't know the tropes that are in my books. I love going in blind in a book. I just hear like that people loved it and like that's good enough for me and I'll go into it. I don't know if I can like know that like that's a fake dating trope. I have one in mind. I'm gonna see if it's a fake dating trope or not, and then I don't know, hopefully it is because I don't know what else. I heard that Heartless Hunter is fake dating because one is a witch hunter, and they fake date and they try to get information from each other, but I'm not 100% sure. He inserts himself into her social circles by pretending to court her, and when a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp. Okay, amazing. This couldn't have been better. This is a fake dating trope. Definitely not one that like comes to mind. I feel like when you think of a fake dating trope, you definitely think of a romance book, but I was able to squeeze in another fantasy even with this, and I'm so excited because Rebel Witch also comes out this month, and I don't know why, I just feel like I'm going to absolutely love this book from everything I've heard, and I'm so happy that once I finish it I won't have to wait very long to pick up the sequel. So Heartless Hunter is going to be our fourth prompt book and our fifth book of the video. So moving on to prompt number 5. Next book in a series. What a great prompt. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, I think I'm gonna go to my book journal because I'm just gonna be able to see so quickly which series I'm in the middle of and which ones I could potentially put on my TBR. So one of my spreads is like a little series tracker. I have a lot of options, so I think we're just gonna kind of rapid fire them. I have Six of Crows, which technically starts a duology, but it is the next book in the Grishaverse series, and I finished Ruin and Rising just last month, so I could finally pick up the Six of Crows duology, so this is definitely an enticing option. My next option is The Horse and His Boy. It's the next book in the Narnia series. I've been slowly chipping away at this series. The books are pretty fast paced and they're all pretty short. This is 230 pages, so especially between some of my bigger reads, especially if I get bigger, yeah, I mean I'm only halfway through the TBR, so maybe getting a small book is like not really a bad idea. The next book is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Alex Stern. At the moment it's a duology. I'm not sure if there's going to be more than 2 books. I think it's just going to be a duology. I read Ninth House like 2 summers ago. It was good. Like it was just like a fever dream. I didn't know what was happening. Anyways, it was such a good time. So Hellbent just finally came out in paperback not that long ago and I picked it up. This would be also finishing up a series, which is definitely tempting, and yeah, it might just be a good time to read it. Next up I have The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. This is the next book in the Serpent and Wings of Night, the Crowns of Nyaxia series. There's going to be quite a few. I believe there's another one coming out. It might be this year. They already announced the name. The Fallen and The Kiss of Dusk. Anyways, this is also a pretty new release. It was released I think towards the end of last year. I have started it. I started when I got it, so I'm I think at chapter 10, page 100. It's like 500 pages, so I'm just in it a little bit, and yeah, so far it's really good. I'm really liking it, and this would also continue slash finish what is out of a series right now. My prompt is continuing series. I don't know why I'm like, oh, it's continuing series. It's such a great option. They all continue series, obviously, but this one would actually finish a series, so that is definitely tempting. And then next up I have Killjoy. I recently read As Good as Dead, and it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I love the series. I honestly really took my time with the series. I feel like I had like a year between each of my reads. So then I picked up Killjoy because I know it's the next book. Well, it's not actually, it's actually a prequel novella, but it's just a little book. It's just over 100 pages, so it's a super short book, but I definitely want to read it soon. It's like a novella that prequels the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and I definitely want to read it soon because I want to stay as close to the world as I can when I read this. And then we're moving on to, I do have 2 romances. I have The Long Way Home, Magnolia Parts The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings. This is the next book in the Magnolia and Daisy Hates universe, and yeah, I read the first 2 books last year and I absolutely loved them. And so, oh, this takes place in a year in the future. I didn't know that this took place a year in the future. That's kind of nice. I actually really like that. This is definitely a really tempting option. And then I also have Addicted for Now by Kristen Becker Ritchie. I have slowly been making my way through the Addicted series. I absolutely love every single book that we've gotten so far. I started this, I'm on only chapter 2, so not really. Yeah, in terms of a romance, these are such great options. I think I'm gonna pick The Songbird and The Heart of Stone, since I've already started it a little, and because this would finish out what's out in the series right now, and then I would be ready for the new release upcoming. I honestly love the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Loved the first 2 books, they were so good. This one obviously follows a different character, kind of a side character. She's doing her own thing now. Honestly, so far, it's really, really good. Okay, so finally, time for prompt number 6. Book with a purple cover. I actually only have 2 options for this. I have, I think, 2 or 3 more purple covers, but they're books further on in a series which I can't read next. So my first book is Love Redesigned. Obviously this very purple cover, but this also starts the Lakefront Billionaire series. This is a romance book by Lauren Asher, same person who wrote the Dreamland Billionaire series. I have read one of those books. I really enjoyed. This is definitely like a good option, and I am excited to read this, but again, I want to kind of pause on starting new series. Like I said, I am just in such a big fantasy mood after rereading Onyx Storm, and after reading Onyx Storm, and now I'm rereading Fourth Wing at the moment, so I've just been in the biggest fantasy mood right now. So I am going to pick option number 2, which is Empire Storms, which is the next book in the Throne of Glass series. I know you have to do a tandem read, so hopefully we can get a book prompt that's going to pick Tower of Dawn. If not, I will just have to read it as well, because you have to read them interconnected. And so I'm super excited. I always envisioned myself reading Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn during the month of February so that I could read Kingdom of Ash no later than March. So anyways, yeah, so I'm super excited. This is going to be our book with a purple cover. So prompt number 7. Book with flowers on the cover. I think we might have to do a romance for this one. I don't know if I can get away with a fantasy. I love TBR videos, but they absolutely wreck my bookshelves or my TBR cart. Okay, so I came up with 4 options. I have no idea which one I'm gonna pick. But it's kind of funny because the flowers on the cover, it's all roses. I don't know what happened, but the only flower I have on covers of books on my bookshelves are roses. So I'm going to start with, I have 2 romances and I have 2 fantasies. And I also have 2 repeats that we already nominated. Addicted for Now has these roses on the cover, and then my other romance is Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is part of the Chestnut Spring series, and Powerless, which is the 3rd book in the series, is free to read on Prime Reading, like on your Kindle. So I have already read Powerless, but I've never read Flawless, which is the 1st book in the series. And so yeah, I've definitely been wanting to get to Flawless and to start the actual Chestnut Spring series. I've heard so many amazing things, and I have also read one of her books in the Rose Hill series, which is her new series that she's working on with Wild Love, Wild Eyes, and Wild Side. I read Wild Love in January. It was 5 stars. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. So wouldn't mind picking up an Elsie Silver book. Another repeat is This Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi, and then my final option is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. Okay, I think I'm gonna pick up, oh, this is so hard. I have decided I'm gonna pick up one of the 2 romances because we are already prompt number 7 and we don't have any romances, and I definitely will need a palette cleanser between all the fantasies and to switch it up a little, so I definitely need to pick up one of these 2, but I'm really not sure which. I'm so torn. They both sound so good, obviously. I think I'm gonna pick Addicted for Now. Continue on in the series, and already started a little, and I'm just really excited to go back into this world and read more about Lillian Lowe. So Addicted for Now is going to be our 8th book, but the book for the 7th prompt. Prompt number 8. Oh my gosh, we're getting to the end. This part is always so sad, but our TBR looks amazing so far. So alright, prompt number 8 is added in 2024 to your TBR. On my old book journal, I would track which year I bought each of my books. So one of the books that I bought in 2024, which to tell you the truth is going to be pretty freaking easy because I bought way too many books in 2024. Check and Mate, Century of the Shadow, This Woven Kingdom, These Infinite Threads, Final Gambit, The Hotel Nantucket, The Villa, We Free the Stars, The Story Life of A.J. Vickery, A Darker Shade of Magic, Gathering of Shadows, Conjuring of Light, This Dark Descent, Love on the Brain, The Friend Zone, Summer Reading, The 7-Year Slip, The Layover, Reckless, Meet Me at the Lake, Life's Too Short, Yours Truly, Love Interest, Anatomy, Immortality, All Is Twisted Glory, Every Summer After, Better Than the Movies, Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, Our Violent Ends, The Atlas Complex, Half a Soul, Golden Sun, Heartless Hunter, Before I Let Go, The Dead Romantics, In a Holiday's, Wreck the Halls, Hellbent, Dishonestly Yours, Love Redesigned, Just for the Summer, Twisted Games, Magnolia Park's Long Way Home, Fall of Gondolin, Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing, Vow of Thieves, The Children of Huron, Happy Place, Twisted Hate, Twisted Lies, Flawless, Throne of the Fallen, Trials of the Sun Queen, Rule of the Aurora King, and Fate of the Sun King. Those are all of our options, which obviously was just quickfire. I don't know why I want to read this one so bad, but I'm gonna pick Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I don't know why this is screaming to me, and I did pick it up last year and finishes the series, and I don't know, it's just such a crazy fever dream the first time that I read it, and it was just so fun and so immersive, and I read it in like 2-3 days. It was so fun. So I'm gonna pick up Hellbent as our 8th prompts book. Okay, so prompt number 9, only 2 more to go. A 2-word title. Okay, easy enough. I feel like we have lots of options for a 2-word title. Yeah, I don't even think I'm going to go looking too much because I really want to read Rebel Witch, which is going to be the 2nd book in the Crimson Moth duology, which comes after The Heartless Hunter, which is already on my TBR, and so it's going to be a new release, and I'm really excited. So I'm going to just use a Rebel Witch for the 2-word title prompt, and that's going to be number 9, so we're going to have the entire duology on our TBR for this month. And then our final prompt, I don't really have anything in mind to wrap up the TBR. Maybe another romance because we only have 1 on there at the moment, so I feel like 1 more would be good. Or Tower of Dawn because I'm gonna have to read it inevitably. That's sort of what I'm expecting to pick. So our prompt is gonna be most recent addition to the TBR. Okay, I placed a book outlet order not that long ago, earlier this week, and I already received all of the books. I'm just pulling up the receipt to see which ones I got. Okay, I got some really random books. I got Murtagh, which is the next book in the 5th book in the Aragon, or the Inheritance Cycle series, which starts with Aragon. I got Assistant to the Villain. I got Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto, which I heard was really good. Some of the book girlies on BookTube were raving about this book. And then I got Some Kind of Perfect, which I can't read. So my only options are Assistant to the Villain or Not Another Love Song, and I think I'm going to pick Not Another Love Song. Yeah, I just sort of heard the hype about it, and I'm really excited to read it. So I think I'm going to pick this one up, and it's going to be another romance for us as well. Okay, so a quick little recap for all the books that are going to be on my TBR in February. So starting with our first prompt, which was nonfiction, we have Atomic Habits, and then also finishing up Unwinding Anxiety. Okay, next up we have yellow on the cover, so we have Sanctuary of the Shadow by Aurora Asher. Book you've been putting off, Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. And then purple cover is Empire of Storms by Sarah J Maas. So we're going to be making a little bit of headway in the Throne of Glass series. Going to read 3 books because Empire of Storms is going to be a tandem read with Tower of Dawn. Then we have the enemies to, no, probably, but we also have the fake dating trope, which is going to be Heartless Hunter, and then a 2-word title, which is going to be Rebel Witch, which is the 2nd book in this duology. Then we have next book in a series, The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. So then for flowers on the cover, we have Addicted for Now. For my newest purchase, we have Not Another Love Song. For added to the TBR in 2024, we have Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. Okay, so this is my TBR for the month of February. I definitely anticipate having quite a bit of time to read all of these, and I'm super excited. And then, yeah, so we have these 11 books, and then we also have Tower of Dawn, of course, to read with Empire of Storms. So if you'd like to see me read any of these will probably be in videos throughout the month, and then, of course, I will be giving a reading wrap-up of my month and everything I got through and how the books went down and everything like that at the end of the month. So follow along for more, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!